Hey everybody, this is Craig from the University of Applied Research and Development, and this is part of our Veteran Stories, Difference Makers, and we've got Sid Owsley with us. Hi Sid.
Hey Craig, great to be here, man. Great to talk to you again.
Great to be in contact with you again. I think it was probably 7 years ago that we were in contact, or 8 years ago, around business and marketing and things like that.
Yeah, about that long. Yeah.
It's been a minute, yeah. Hello, great to see you again. I'd love for you to just share your story of what motivated you to get into the military in the first place.
Well, I come, basically from a military family. Father was in the Air Force. Had several uncles, especially at that time, were in the Marines, and that looked like the career path for me. I actually had originally been influenced by my father to go into the Air Force. And I set up an appointment with the Air Force recruiter, and I was sitting there waiting for him, and he never showed up. And
Wow.
the Marine Corps recruiter was there, and like I said, I think I had at least 2 or 3 uncles in the Marines, at least 2 uncles in the Marines at the time. When I
Uh-huh.
was 16, 17 years old, and a friend of mine had graduated the year before me, and he went into the Army. So I said, if he can go into the Army and make it through boot camp, I can make it through Marine Corps boot camp. And so like I said, the Marine Corps recruiter was there. The Air Force recruiter didn't show up, so I talked to him. And next thing I know, I had signed up for the Marines. Came home, told my mother, and I never told her that. Well, she didn't find out till after I got out of the Marines. I'm an only child, and they have the thing where you sign as an only child. You can sign something saying that you won't go to frontline combat, because during World War II, I believe there were 6 brothers who were in the Navy, if I remember the story right. Somebody, if I'm saying the story wrong, someone else, please, let me know. But I believe there were 6 brothers in the U.S. Navy, and all of them were killed. And so sometime after that, there was something that came out that someone who is an only child could sign not to go to frontline combat, and I never signed that. When I told my mother
Oh,
this,
wow.
when I told my mother that years later after I got out of the Marine Corps, I think she's still mad at me.
Yeah, she would be. Okay, so you joined the Marine Corps, and tell us about your experiences, and then what happened to force you out.
Yeah, I had a good time in the Marine Corps. I was a combat engineer. That was my MOS 1371. Uh, Fortunately, growing up, I stayed in pretty decent shape. I had been involved in martial arts when I was younger, and
Mm.
just like running around and doing physical things. So, by the time I went into boot camp, I was already in pretty decent physical shape. So I didn't really have a problem uh, with the physicality or even the discipline part, because I had been involved in martial arts. So the self-discipline part was, already ingrained in me. And so, boot camp was just like a group workout for me, and with a lot of yelling. And so, like I said, that didn't bother me, because, I've been in martial arts, and I've been around my closest uncle that I've been close to. Uh, he was in the Marines uh, at that time. I think he was probably a sergeant when I went in. And so, I used to hear him yell and all this stuff, so that none of that bothered me. Um, but yeah, Marine Corps, it was great, and I was mostly in Camp Lejeune. Matter of fact, I was only at Camp Lejeune, and I wind up hurting my back, and so I actually had to get out of the Marine Corps, uh, and you know that's how things ended for me. It was just a little over 2 years that I was in, but those memories last a lifetime.
Yeah, and was it part of a training exercise where you hurt your back?
No, well, I worked in a warehouse, so we were always picking up a lot of heavy things.
Mm.
In fact, I remember a group of reservists had came, and they worked, with us full-time enlisted guys, And I remember one of the guys saying, no wonder everybody in here is so jacked up and so muscular because you guys are picking things up and doing this stuff all the time. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I worked out still, but yeah, you were always picking up. We used to make these boxes, these big wooden boxes, embarkation boxes for Navy ships. So equipment went in these boxes. And so, we were always loading and picking up things and handling a lot of heavy objects. And so, that's what happened, and got out. And, for a little while, I felt a little lost when I got out. I wasn't sure what to do. And I remember I saw a TV commercial for an electronics school for, learning computer programming, things like that. And it was two schools, and they'd actually been around for years, before cause I remember seeing the commercials as a child. So I decided to go to one of these schools to learn computer programming, stuff like that. And 6 months after I joined the school, it went out of business. It'd been there for years. 6 months after I joined, it went out of business. And I was really tired of being broke. I was getting my GI Bill, but otherwise I was going to school and, didn't have a lot of money. And fortunately, while I was at the school, I met this guy. I think, like I said, I was around 21. This guy was only 25 years old. He had been a DC police officer, and he had to go on retirement medically because he had been involved in a shooting where he was shot in the chest. He had his vest on, but it made an impact in his chest to where physically he couldn't do the job anymore. And so he was still looking to get back into law enforcement. So he was thinking about the sheriff's department. And so he told me that it was the Arlington County Sheriff's Department that was hiring. So when this school closed, I applied with them. And it was about a year later I actually got on. So I was a deputy sheriff in Arlington, Virginia for 11 years.
Wow. 11 years.
Yeah, 11 years. Yep.
That's a long time to be in law enforcement.
Yeah.
So it must have been a shock to the system when you had to leave the army 2 years into what would normally be like at least 4 years, I guess, serving in the military, and you had your mind set on it. Your family, it's a military family, and then it changed and you felt a little bit lost. I'm just wondering if there are skills and abilities or attitudes that you picked up in your time with the military which have helped you go forward with the things that you're doing now.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah. Just the attitude of of going no matter how difficult things get. You learn that in particular in boot camp and the teamwork aspect. When you go through basic training, you go through boot camp, the emphasis on teamwork is a lot, and so just understanding how to work with other people, how to get things done, and learning how to focus on the mission instead of the things that you have to do in order to accomplish the mission, not getting caught up on that and focusing on accomplishing the mission, not focusing on the methods, but the actual objective. And so that's a lot of what I talk about when I speak to people. Don't get caught up on the how, focus on the what, because how you accomplish something is going to change. As you go along the way of accomplishing a goal, you're going to start out on one path, and you may find out that the path you're on to achieving your goal, you may have to change it, or that path may get you to a certain point, and you have to change something, or something happens where there's a delay or whatever. You just have to be prepared to pivot and move And at that I thought about that particular same pivot and move because on the drill field there was a move we would do when we were marching where you would be marching straight and then you pivot and then you move in a new direction. And so that's what you have to be prepared to do in life. You have to be prepared to pivot and move because
Mm,
things change.
that's great. And right now, though, you have your own coaching and development business. And we've got the website just below us right now on the screen. Tell us about what you're doing.
Well, I've been doing mostly some speaking and writing. Still working on this book. I started working on the book and had some life delays, some pleasant delays. I'm making a transition. I've made a transition of career and location, and so things are a little bit delayed, but that actually adds to my story. So
Hmm.
it's a good delay, and I'm happy. And with the coaching, I haven't been doing as much as that lately. But as I get settled into what I'm doing, I'm actually beginning to pick that up a little bit more. Uh, I'm actually collaborating on a book with some other authors now, and so I'm getting back into my routine as I get settled.
Hmm. Are you able to tell us some of the transition and change?
I've transitioned from my background in law enforcement and security into career in insurance adjusting, and that has been great. Uh, I enjoy helping people out when they're in situations where they've lost possessions.
Hmm.
May have lost a house, a car, even family members, and
Hmm.
part of my job is to help them get back to some semblance of normalcy in their life. By
Hmm.
helping them get compensated for their possessions and things like that. And so that's been a good career change. And also I'm making a change in location, uh, spending some time in Brazil, uh, and in the States. And so that that's part of the transition, and it's going well. And like I said, I'm happy. And as I get more and more settled, I'm picking back up on the the being an author and doing some speaking that'll come. And so things are moving along great.
I love your tagline with the determination determines destination.
Thank you, thank you.
Love
It's
that.
it's what I live by. For me and from what I've seen for a lot of people, I talk a lot of people start out with a lot of motivation when they talk about starting some new project or a goal. And the motivation, it usually happens when you go to a seminar or you may read a book that you like and you're all excited about this thing. And 2 weeks in, especially if you go to one of those seminars or something like that, they're great to get you started. You're there with a group of
Yeah.
people, you're there for the weekend, and everybody's rah rah. And then when you have to go back home on your own and you're paying the bills and you got to go to work and deal with the family, the rah rah part, it starts to wane. And so, the motivation goes, but if you really want to accomplish this goal, you have to be determined. You have to find a way to get this done. And so, being determined determines your destination in life. And
Hmm.
that's what I talk a lot about. It's not anything hard. You just have to realize that you're going to have challenges, you're going to have setbacks, you're going to have delays. That's part of the process. That's we keep trying to get around that, figure out a way for it not to happen, And I try to get people to understand, just accept it. That's the way it is. And it's there to help you learn.
Yeah. For those people who may have had some unexpected delays or turns in their journey, such as you becoming injured and then having to leave the service, or other people losing a career because an economy goes bad, or a relationship gets broken that they thought was for life, but then it's ended. What are some tips or encouragements or ideas that you might give those people to deal with that unexpected change in their journey?
Well, the biggest thing I try to focus on when these things happen to me, and share this with other people, is when these things happen, look at what lessons you can learn from them, from these incidents, and look at what this gives you an opportunity to do, to pursue. You know, um,
Mm.
when I remember I had gotten injured exercising, and it was my leg, and so I couldn't really do any squats at the time. So that actually gave me the opportunity to go back and look at my form. It gave me
Mm.
opportunity to work on my flexibility, and I actually wound up being in much better shape once I healed from that injury and adjusted some things.
Mm.
And so, you just always have to look at, the silver lining, or what this gives you the opportunity to focus on. You if you're laid up in bed and you can't be active like you usually are, that gives you the opportunity to catch up on some reading, some writing. It gives you a chance to really think about your life. The COVID situation, people were locked down. That was an opportunity for a lot of people to really sit down and think about their life and what
Mm.
they want in life, and to reevaluate things. That really, as tragic as the situation is, it was. That also was an opportunity for a lot of people to slow down and really think about their life, and reevaluate things.
Mm. Yeah, that's good. Looking for those opportunities that otherwise you might not see, or
Yeah.
might not have presented themselves, or might not have been available if this change hadn't happened. Was it Earl Nightingale said about the seeds of greatness, or no, seeds of success that are hidden in failure?
Hidden failure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's right.
yeah. So for those people who maybe didn't have a change in journey, but maybe they failed, been knocked down, they've tried a business and it didn't work, or they've tried a second business and it still didn't work, or you know, had a number of relationships that are broken down, or whatever it is, tried to gain an academic qualification
Mhm.
and just couldn't get past the last few exams. For those people who feel like they might be consistently failing, what sort of advice or tips or strategies would you share with them?
Well, the biggest thing is to change your perspective on what has happened. The failures are, or perceived failures. Those are learning experiences. Those are chances for you. You've done something. What did you learn from it?
Mm.
And how do you proceed? Do you still proceed with this particular thing you're pursuing and failed at? Or did you learn that, okay, maybe I'm not so good at this. Maybe I need to switch to something else. Always look for opportunity to learn from what has happened. And so, the business that didn't go well. Well, did you really know enough about the business, you know, to say that it didn't work? Maybe there was some knowledge that you didn't have at the time that you could uh, follow up on and do it again better, do it again different.
Mm.
You know what what do you learn from this situation of starting that business that could help you start that business or another business? Because a lot of time, you start one business and that doesn't work out, but something else sparks from that business venture. Say, well, now maybe I should try, a different angle on this, or a different approach. So you just always look for the opportunity to learn. Don't think about failing, that you're not good enough. You're learning. You're always learning. Failure is just you're learning. You're experimenting, and you have to take your notes, written or mental. Do both. Just keep in your mind what you've done. How this experiment worked out, or write down how this experiment worked out. The good parts, the parts that didn't work out, and tweak things from there. The emotions of failing, that's what gets people.
Yeah.
Something doesn't work out, and you lose some money. If you started any businesses, you put some money in and it didn't work out, and hey, you just gotta say, the money's gone. I'll get it back. That's the way it is. You have to accept the process.
Right. Yeah, that's good, Sid. So just to wrap up, have you settled on a name for the book that you're writing?
It will more likely be something centered around determination determines destination.
Okay.
Probably the 3Ds to success: determination determines destination. That's what I'm thinking about.
The
And,
3Ds.
Yeah. 3Ds to success.
That's cool.
That's the formula.
Hey, well, Sid, thank you for your service, and thank you for being with us and sharing this part of your journey. Really appreciate your time.
Hey, I appreciate you contacting me and having me on, Craig. Good seeing and talking to you again.
It's been great seeing you again as well. And for those of you watching the recording, whether it's on Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube or Twitter or Twitch or Pinterest or wherever you manage to find the recording, we've got Sid's website address directly underneath. We look forward to seeing Sid's book being released so we can all grab a copy of it. And so thanks very much for being with us on Veterans Stories, Difference Makers. We look forward to seeing you again.